Hey guys, I'm Bethany.
And I'm Kristen.
And this is Looking for the Middle.
CouchCast edition.
Okay.
That never gets old. All right.
Oh, man.
Bethany, you ready for our listener question
I
for
think
today?
so. She told me what it was and I've forgotten, so I don't even know what we're talking about today.
What are your thoughts on Mantourage dating? You want to guess what that means first?
Mantourage dating?
Mantourage. I know you want to say it like Montourage, but then it's Mantourage.
Oh, like entourage.
Yes.
Oh, like if you're dating like an entourage of people, or like a bunch of girls, like you're dating a guy, but like your girlfriends all have a lot of input into it. That wouldn't be Mantourage.
No, you were right with the first one.
Okay.
So she put, basically it means dating more than one guy at a time before locking it down with one.
Oh, well, I've never heard this term before, I don't think.
Can I get it in a sentence? Can I?
Yeah, for real. The language of origin, please.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, dear. Okay, so just what are my thoughts on that in general?
Yeah, let's start with that.
You can see my face right now. Okay, so my thoughts on dating multiple people, trying to decide which one you like better. I don't think that's a good plan. Dating multiple people. Now, if you're like coming from an app, you've been online, you've talked to a few people, and you go to coffee with a couple of guys, kind of, overlapping, and then you're like, oh, okay, yes to this one, no to that. Like you decide and then you date one of them. I think that's fine. So I think it probably depends a little bit on what exactly the question means. But if you are on an ongoing basis continuing to date multiple people just because you're like, I want to have fun, or I want to see which I like better so I can take my pick, and I don't like that idea.
Yeah, that's basically The Bachelorette.
Yeah.
Which I'm like, that doesn't feel good.
Yeah. So I don't know what they mean.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I kind of think the same thing. I've been on the other end of this where I found out I was one of 3 girls. This guy was, I don't think it was just one date with everyone, and then I figured out like he was talking and I got the impression that I was the newest of the group.
Gotcha.
But what really frustrated me is we went out, we talked for a few days, went out, talked to me for a few more days, and then decided to tell me, oh, hey, by the way, I'm going to start dating this other girl. Because I've actually been talking to 2 other girls, but then I told this one that I didn't want to date her because I want to go date this girl and I needed to be honest with you and whatever.
He told you all of that?
Yeah. Literally told me all of it, which I'm like, that's TMI, dude. I don't need all that information. Yeah. So that didn't feel super great because I'm like, okay, well, one, I don't know. Like, why did you keep talking to me after we went out if you knew, okay, you're going to go out with this? Because at the end of the date, I'm really skeptical if there's nothing at the end of the day that's like, oh, we should when can I see you again? Mm-hmm. Or we should, there was none of that. So I'm like, I don't know.
That didn't go well or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyways, I don't know. Like I'm with you from the standpoint of, particularly if it's online, like you're talking to a few guys and you maybe go on a couple first dates in the same week or something. Okay.
I've done that. Yeah.
But then after that, I feel like one way, it's like, and again, not to compare it to The Bachelor, but to compare it to The Bachelor, like they're like, oh, I have no, pretty early on, oh, this is the one I really want to be with. You can, like, I don't think they're allowed to say.
Show, it's like there's 25 people there. Okay, yeah, you might not like all, obviously you don't like all, but you might not be able to say, okay, this one.
Yeah.
But you're like, okay, these 4 or 5 are really cool. Like,
yes.
You can narrow it
down from your pool. So if you're only narrowing it for 2 or 3, you know which one you like the best.
Yes.
And it's not fair to keep the other ones in limbo in case you change your mind or in case the one you like doesn't like you back or whatever. Because I feel like that could be tempting too of, oh, well, this is kind of early, so I want to keep them all in case one of them decides to back out. Then I still have options.
Yeah. I think part 2, like, this is something that's going to be handled very differently when 2 people know the Lord than people who don't. because everything you just described is very, I mean, and you were saying it in the negative, but everything you just described is very self-serving, exalting, what I want, like I'm what matters the most, all of these things. And when you're dating as a non-Christian,
that's how you date.
That's how anyone does. But when you are dating as a Christian, like we are to be kind and humble and preferring others and all of those things. And so I guess my question would be, is what you're doing fulfilling those things? And I'm not saying at the very beginning it can't. Like I said, you're not committing to anything. You're just getting to know people. And then you're saying, I would like to date this person kind of thing. That's fine. But dating multiple people, yeah, for any of those host of reasons you said, I don't think that is something that would be in line with a Christian worldview.
I would agree. And you know this. Most people listening, if they've been listening for a while, know this. I'm a one at a time kind of girl. I'm very aware that is how I best compartmentalize things, is just to live it myself that way. And that's fine. So I think, and you tell me your thoughts on this, because I know you'll like, not that there's anything wrong with how you date. I'm not saying that, but you'll talk to multiple guys, like online particularly. But my thinking is, okay, if I go out on a date with Bobby, and then Joey asks me out a couple days later, if I say yes to Joey, why would I say yes to Joey if I really like Bobby?
Fair enough.
You know, of like this, obviously, if you're wanting to go out with somebody else instead of continuing to go out with whoever, something about the first guy is not, you know, and I'm not saying you need to expect perfection. Yeah. But there was something there. You're like, oh, there's something missing, to the point where, oh, if I go out with this guy, maybe I'll find it. Is where my mind goes.
I can see that.
So if you're, and I think this is where you can really, if you're dating multiple people at once, like you're saying, not just talking to them, you get this perfectionist mentality. Like, if I keep searching, I'll find someone even better. I'll find someone even better.
Or I don't like this one little thing about him.
Yeah, let me keep going.
There's someone else.
Yeah, and that's where a lot of people struggle with online dating and like picking somebody, because they're like, oh, well, if I swipe left on them, someone will be better. If I just keep going and keep going and keep going, and no one's going to be perfect. Yeah. So, but yeah, that's kind of where my mind goes of, okay, well, if you went out with so-and-so and you want to go out with somebody else, you clearly didn't like boy A enough to be like, oh, I just want to date you. Yeah. So then what's the point of keeping boy A in limbo? Because then you don't want to go back and be like, oh, well, boy B wasn't that great either, so I'll go back to boy A. But you really were willing to like walk away from boy A. You see what I'm saying?
I get that.
Okay.
But here's my thought of it.
Okay, yes. Here, share your
You go out with boy A.
Yes.
And you have a good time. He's cool, whatever. It was a date. You don't really know him. You don't whatever. So then boy B asks you out, or you've talked on an app. He's like, hey, let's grab coffee. Well, I don't feel like I have enough information about the first one to make a decision.
Okay. Fair point.
But do you want to say to the second guy, well, no. And then you go out one more time with this guy and it's like, oh, that was not ever going to work. But now you're going to have to go back and be like, oh, just kidding. The other guy, well, it didn't work. And now can we still like.
Okay. That's true too.
Go to coffee, grab coffee. You're just getting to know. And then if you're going to continue dating one person is what I think.
Okay. That makes sense. That's a good way to look at it.
But if you've been talking to boy A on an app for 3 or 4 weeks and you go out and then okay, that's different. You're obviously not, like, more like what you said. Yeah. It wasn't what you thought it would be, I wouldn't think. Yeah. But if it's real quick, and that's more of what I'm talking about, I think. Okay, that's
true. So that could depend on it too, because that's another thing Bethany and I are really different at. Like, we pace first dates differently. Very true. Because that's the filter I'm thinking through. Like, I've already probably talked to this guy for a couple weeks. Whereas you'll be like, oh, we talked a couple days, or like we talked 3 days and he's local. Let's go get
grab
dinner
coffee
or get
dinner
coffee.
Or
Yeah.
Learning my lesson.
Yeah. But yeah, it's the pace could determine that too. So maybe keep that in mind of, again, neither one's wrong. This is what we I think it's so cool that Bethany and I align so much, like spiritually and from a faith standpoint on dating, but then our experiences and like the way we date is different. Yeah. So obviously we're not going to touch on the way everybody dates, but hopefully y'all get a couple different perspectives on certain things like this, hearing us talk, because we don't do everything the same.
No.
Which there's benefit to that.
Oh, totally.
So
I would say one thing to just kind of leave you with a general, this is my thought on it when I'm trying to decide, okay, is this appropriate? Is it too much? Whatever. I always say, okay, am I at a stage where if he was talking to someone else, it would bother me? And if I am, then I definitely shouldn't be.
Yeah.
And even if I'm not, it still doesn't necessarily mean I shouldn't be, but that's kind of my beginning place. I mean, I dated a guy a couple years ago who, it was from online and we had talked, and then he told me before we met, like, hey, just so you know, like, I've been getting to know a couple of people and I really want to meet you. I want to whatever. But, and I mean, I was like, okay, like, no big deal.
Thanks for being honest.
Yeah,
with me.
I really appreciated the honesty. And then we went out and we dated. So
Bethany won.
That's not what I meant.
I know.
I know.
The only reason I said that is I know you didn't mean it that way.
So, I mean, so then it ended with the other, I think it was 2. But, like, you can be honest and tell someone that if it's not very, I don't know. I feel like that's kind of an interesting area, because if you're just going to go out once and see, okay, you don't have to tell them. But if it's something where you're like, okay, I've actually been getting to know a couple of people and I want to see where this goes, then I do think there's something to be said for, hey, just so you know. I don't know. That's a tricky thing.
Yeah, it is. I think too, if you say it early enough, like, that gives the other person the option.
Yeah.
Because if they're not comfortable with it, they'll be like, okay, that's cool. Like, I'm not really comfortable with that, but like, best of luck to you. Or, okay, it's early. Like, I'm cool with that. Mm-hmm. But then they know, okay, at some point it's okay for me. I was like, hey, are you still dating 2 other people? Or, you know, and the likelihood if he's bringing that up that early, he's probably going to communicate pretty openly anyways. So, but I don't think it's a bad move if you want to bring that up.
Yeah.
But be willing to be open to whatever response you get on that.
Exactly.
Don't get mad if they get mad about it.
Yeah.
So,
or they don't want to continue because of it.
That's their decision.
And,
you know?
Yeah.
So.
That's a tough one.
That is a tough one. Mantourage dating.
I'm going to remember that.
We're learning so many terms.
Right? Breadcrumbing.
Breadcrumbing.
Mantourage dating.
What was the other one?
I don't remember. Oh, what was the other one? I don't know what
I don't
it
remember.
was.
We're learning a lot, y'all.
Yeah.
Keep it coming, all you young people. All the youths.
We've been watching New Girl.
Yeah.
Kristen is channeling Schmidt.
Yes, I am. Oh, Schmidt. What's even funnier is we have a guy friend that reminds me so much of Schmidt.
So much.
So it's fun to think like, oh, that's what so-and-so would say in that situation. I can totally see him saying that. So anyways, but yes, I'm channeling my inner Schmidt. So you youths out there, if you have any other dating terms we need to know, let us know.
Out.
Yeah. Help a sister out. Exactly. All right, guys. Well, that wraps it up for today. If you have a question you'd like us to answer on the air, we have a form in our Instagram bio called CouchCast Submissions. You can go to @LFTM_podcast to find that and send us your question, and it may end up on an episode in the future. You never know. So do that if you have a question for us. Check back on Wednesday for our next full-length episode, and we will talk to you then. But until next time, I'm Kristen.
And I'm Bethany.
And this is Looking for the Middle.